Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Illumineers Quest podcast, where we talk everything Lorcana. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jacob.
Thanks for coming on this journey with us. So today's another fun one. We are continuing the Chapter 2 discussion off of all the information that was released. We're doing a tier list.
I love the tier list. I think we've done some fun ones so far. So
yeah, this is the most concise one though, because we didn't, on the other ones we've kind of picked out cards and that we thought, and so this is just all the Chapter 2 stuff that's been released. So this will be a fun one. With that being said, quick correction off of the intro that we did to the Chapter 2 stuff earlier. We got Dinner Bell wrong, and it was pointed out to us on Twitter, and so I appreciate the correction here, but you can only use it against your own character to remove the damage and draw the cards, not an opponent character. So, quick distinction, but extremely important, obviously.
That was my bad. You had it right the first time, so...
No, that's, we just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page, so no big deal. Everybody makes mistakes, but... to learn from it and move on. So, so again, thank you for the people reaching out to us to help correct. We have a YouTube channel that you can, leave comments on. It's at Illumineers Quest. You can, again, reach out to us on Twitter and correct us there if you like at LorcanaPod. Email us any questions or concerns at lorcanapod@gmail.com as well. So appreciate the help there and making sure we get this right. But yeah, we'll move on, and this will be a fun tier list episode. But it's going to be a good one because I think we're all excited to talk about the Chapter 2 cards again.
I think we are for sure.
Okay, so quickly though, we have to do a card of the week / episode.
Is it on me this week, I think?
It is on you this week.
Oh boy. I'll do Maleficent, the legendary Maleficent.
Okay.
Because that's what I'm trying to buy singles right now of it, so it's on the mind.
Yeah, I think, this kind of starts to get into the next topic on the recap on some things, but yeah, I mean, I think both of us are in the boat now where the most mind space that we have is how do we get the cards we need.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out my budget basically, because I've got to figure out how do I just Chapter 2's...
These singles aren't cheap still.
Chapter 2 is coming very soon. I need to figure out, okay, do I just go all in on Chapter 1? Do I do half and half? Because I'm trying to get somewhat of a usable deck.
Yeah, and Maleficent definitely gets you there. And like I said, prices are coming down, but Maleficent Monstrous Dragon, I assume that's what you're talking about. So the 9-cost Ruby card.
So one of the things I think goes maybe a little bit more unnoticed is how much strength it has. And so basically, in most cases, you basically get a kill, a banish off of the mini Dragonfire it has, and then you can get a challenge banish off of
Is it the strongest card in the deck?
So I think
Gantu does 8, right? Gantu is 8/8.
Does he? I don't know for sure, but I think it's got 7 strength, the Maleficent.
7 strength, 5 willpower. I'm pretty sure Gantu has 8 though. So regardless, one of the most strong cards you can get, and then with the Dragonfire ability that you get, it obviously makes it one of the actual just in general strongest cards.
And I just think that's one of the more unnoticed parts. I think it's just you can get a Dragonfire off again.
Yep, and Gantu's 6/6, so it is actually the strongest one, which if you think about, I think Ursula is the only one that has higher than 7 willpower. Okay. And so you're basically going to be able to one-shot anything, plus a Dragonfire, plus a Quest for 2.
Is there a big Maui too? I think there might be a big Maui.
There is a big, maybe he's the 8/8. Okay.
He's the 8/8, I thought so.
Okay, good catch. So I think Maleficent's on both of our minds because we both like to have a play set of Maleficent.
I only have one so far, so I'm working on it.
Same. Okay, so I think that kind of takes us into what's on our mind. We kind of waited outside the local gaming store trying to get some cards. We heard there was going to be a restock today, and we're ready to be the ones to get the cards, and there were no cards.
Okay, correction. You waited for 4 hours. I got there 20 minutes before they opened.
Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. There's a scalper problem. I think we've mentioned in the passing here. Did not want the scalpers to get the cards, so I waited / worked in line.
Hey, that's called determination.
The positive note of this is they did take our names down, and we did get the first in the line. So when they do get cards, we will be the first call to come get cards.
Okay.
So it wasn't all for a loss. It's mainly the fact that we're going to get together tomorrow, the 16th, to play. And we both need cards to complete decks, like we just said. That's what's on our minds. We need cards to complete decks and not just play Pixelborn nonstop.
Yep. So, I mean, and I think that's something that Ravensburger will hopefully, it seems like they're trying to work on.
They're getting there.
I think that, I'm not putting fingers at anyone specifically, but I just think that I think the overall Lorcana community should have done a better job at kind of making maybe the resale prices a little lower. I just think that everyone got maybe a little too excited right
I
off
think
the
it's
bat.
so collectible still, though. I think you have a lot of collectors that are going after those cards, and so
yeah.
it's one of those new things. Everybody's after it, and so it's just really hard. I've been watching TCG Player a little bit, and it's still coming down quite consistently. It's not fast though. Like it's definitely getting there, but it's not at the speed that we need. But yeah, we'll get there eventually, hopefully before Chapter 2, so we can play with a good Chapter 1 deck before 2 comes out. On that note, the only other thing I wanted to add real quick is I did go play the League. I did go 1-1 this week. So,
do you mind sharing what deck you were playing with?
yeah, so I did a Ruby, or not a Ruby, I did an Emerald mainly based deck because I was playing around Cusco. And so it was all Emerald and Amethyst was the second one. So I guess I need to say that. So Emerald, Amethyst, all basically focused around just the annoying characters in Emerald to get them off the board, like Flynn Rider, like Cheshire Cat, like Hans, who's not annoying to get off the board, but just quests for 3 at 4 ink. And so that's a really powerful one. And then obviously Cusco being the big bad, like we talked about last time, that I got to borrow him from you so that I could complete the playset. But I did go 1-1. I'm a little salty on the loss. I will take it, but on the third game, so it was best of 3 series. On the first game that I ended up losing 2-1. After the redraw that I had initially, I ended up with 5 non-inkables.
Wow.
So
that's unfortunate.
I was in a position where I could just never really get going. I mean, and then a couple cards after that, when I was drawing on my turn, I didn't get inkables either. And so I held my own for as long as I could, but eventually I had to just sit there and draw cards trying to find stuff to ink to actually play while my opponent's questing away because I've got nothing on the board because I can't play anything because I don't have any ink.
I mean, I think we've covered that in the past too, how tough uninkables can be. So,
and I think I only had 16 in the deck, so only a fourth of the deck was an uninkable, and so I just had a really bad draw.
Yep.
I had 2 Cuscos, I had 2 Zeus, who I use as my challenger in the deck, and then one other one, and I can't remember who the other one was, but I had one more that was uninkable, and so I was just, so unfortunate on that one. The second game though, I did win 2-1, and so it was a pretty strong matchup. So it was I was happy with the performance. I did the best I could, with the deck that I had. So that's the league recap for this week too.
I wasn't able to go this week, but
we'll get there. Okay, you ready to get into it? Let's start doing a tier list here. Let's start diving into these Chapter 2 cards. So we have them broken out at the bottom here by ink type, and so we'll kind of just go through the list, and we're going to start off with Raya. On the release episode of these cards, I was very salty about it and not happy that this is the Raya they released. That's very underwhelming. Mm-hmm. Correct me if you don't agree.
I completely agree.
There's no other way around it. She doesn't do anything. No rush. 4 cost. Yeah.
So this card doesn't make sense to me because Gaston is in the same ink. He's Ruby, and it basically does what she's trying to do. Not as well because she has 5 strength compared to his 4, but you're not questing with this. You're not questing with Raya.
No, you're not using this as a questing card.
No.
If you're going to use this, it's going to be as a fighter, and your Maui at turn 5 is way better because he has rush. and he's got more strength. So it's just, I mean, we can move on. It's terrible. I need the real Raya card to come out.
Floodborn Raya. We'll get it.
I hope so. Okay, Dinner Bell. We already made the correction on this. I still think it's a very viable card. I still like it a lot. I just don't think it's absolutely busted.
I agree with you. I think it's more B range.
Okay, I think well, let's see where the rest of these end up. I'm okay with that for now. So the play process that I've thought through on this is, like I just said, I used Zeus in the league matchup deck that I had. And I know that I didn't have Ruby in there, but just as an example, if you're playing a Ruby deck with like a Zeus who goes in, challenges for 4, but then when he's just sitting there on your turn, he doesn't have any strength. Mm-hmm. He's just a free target to pick off so that they don't stay on the board. You challenge with Zeus, you use Dinner Bell on him, bing, bang, boom. You took out a character, you drew cards off of him. I think that it makes the utility of attacking cards like that very, very high.
No, I do think that it's useful in that sense, but I just think it's B because that is a very specific situation you need to be in.
And that's fine. I mean, again, I think that a lot of these cards I'm going to have scenarios for are very situational to decks that you're going to build around them. But yes, I don't think it's completely busted. I think you have to have a plan going in to use that in the way that you want to. So yes, it's not super busted. Okay, so I mean, she's at the beginning of the list, so let's talk about her now. Cinderella. Do we just go S tier? I mean, I still think I said she was my favorite. I kind of backed off of it in our conversations. I'm kind of back to her being just completely busted.
So, I mean, I'm having a hard time placing it. I think it's not anywhere below A. That's for sure.
So here's my thought. She does everything. She can challenge if you need her. Like if you're in a late game scenario where you're in a pinch and you need to get characters off the board, she has the strength and willpower to challenge. The resist +2 makes her an extremely formidable opponent to be a challenger. She quests for 3. She has shift. Like what is the downside of the card? It costs 7?
She seems like a big challenger card because she can go and challenge on ready cards that aren't exerted. So I think I don't know, like I think I'd like a 6 strength, maybe. I think that's one thing that I'd really like.
How many cards do you come up against that require?
I understand. I do understand that. I wish and maybe she still is, but I just wish that this card was like the attack card for this.
I mean the one, but there's very few that, like Maui's the only one I think that's playable that's over 5. I mean, if you think of Aladdin Heroic Outlaw, he's got 5 willpower. If you think of Maleficent that we just talked about, the Monstrous Dragon, she's got 5 willpower. The only Mickey, Brave Little Tailor, 5 willpower. The only thing that I can think of that has over that you would need the 6 for is Elsa, which is fine. Like I get it. Obviously you'd want to do it, but I think she's still going to take care of just about anything that you need. I don't see where there's a gap or where there's a weakness. Like it's all there.
I think what I'm also having, not to spoil the rest of the list, but towards the end of the list, maybe the last card in the list, I'm comparing it to that, and I just
okay. We'll get to that one then.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, where does that one fit in with that one? So, I think S is fine though.
Okay, let's get to Tiana, who is also in Steel. The Celebrating Princess also has resist +2, and also has the ability while this character is exerted and you have no cards in your hand, opponents can't play actions. I'm gonna go B.
Okay.
Maybe even C. Like I really want to put it on that line. Like it's an extremely powerful card, but I think it's so situational. Like so situational.
I think it's C because I think it's too high cost.
Doesn't have not inkable. It's non-inkable, so that's tough too.
One strength.
She's not a fighter though. You can't care about the strength.
I understand, but like she has resist though, so
that's to keep her alive, not the fight. It's not you initiating fights. It's somebody fighting you.
I don't know. I think, I mean, honestly, if Bell is super meta, which we'll get into, then this is going to be a good card. But, which, honestly, Bell will probably be meta, so maybe you want to play this and then, but...
Okay. See it is.
See it is.
Yep. All right, moving on to Mickey. We have the Mickey Friendly Face, who I think is drawing a lot of comparisons to the Amber Moana. Same kind of stat line, costs 1 more at 6, has 6 willpower, but his ability is whenever this character quests, you may pay 3 less for the next character you play this turn. So if you can get him out early... I know I know there's some decks that are using 1 jump ahead to get a 5 cost card out on turn 3. You can't do that since he's a 6 cost. But if you get him out on turn 6, on turn 7, you can play 9 or 10 ink worth of characters.
Yeah, I think there's also a few other cards that this works really well with that you can get even more than what this is saying. You can really work it out. All
right, so what do you think?
Low B, high A? Or, I mean, low A, high B.
Okay, I was in the same boat. I'll put him on B. That's kind of what I was thinking too. I think it's really strong. I think you have to have him as a focal point of your deck. And so again, it's not just like Cinderella where she's just in there and she does everything. You really have to plan out the execution of playing the card. Okay, so we get to the next Amber card, the Queen, Commanding Presence. 5 cost inkable, can shift 2. I think this is the lowest shift value we've seen. Current Aurora can shift for 3, but shifting for 2 is insane.
I mean, she shifts for 3 less than what she costs, which is...
That too.
We've never seen that.
Too.
It's always shifts 2 less than what she actually costs.
And on top of that, her ability is whenever this character quests, chosen opposing character gets -4 strength this turn, and chosen character on your side gets +4 strength this turn. So she's a very big swing when challenging and questing, because she quests for 2, can shift in and quest instantly, and then that instantly gives you the ability to challenge with one of your other cards so that you can go take somebody out.
She's, in my opinion, one of, if not the best card at what she's doing, which is challenging. I think this will be probably... Because if you wanted to, you could just add... I think this is going to be probably one of the most meta cards in the...
I think this is a solid A. Are you putting her S?
I'm fine with A. I think A is fine.
Okay.
I think that, I don't know if this necessarily works, but you can also protect this card by adding 4 strength to it, I think, when it's questing. If you wanted to, you could protect.
But that's only this turn, and so your turn ends.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
But I mean, it is an Amber. You do have Maximus as a bodyguard. You have Simba as a bodyguard. So I mean, you have the ability to protect her while she quests as well.
You can add it on to a bodyguard.
Yep. And then so you have that ability. Okay, so I think I agree. A solid. I don't have any qualms with that. Which gets us on to the last Amber card that was released. The first song, or the only song to go over. Zero to Hero. We definitely talked about this one and the potential for a gigantic Herc to come out and lay waste to everybody.
Gone the Distance Hercules. That's one.
Yeah, so this one's very similar to the Mickey in the sense of it's trying to get cards out before they really should be able to be played. Because the Zero to Hero song, basically what it says is count the number of characters you have in play. You pay that amount of ink less for the next character you play this turn. And so it's kind of in a weird place because you have to have a lot of characters on the board, and so you need to have a pretty light deck for it to have a ton of utility behind it. So if you want to take off 3 or 4 costs on a card, then you have to have 3 or 4 cards on the board. So you ideally have some cheaper ones.
I think this is going to be nasty because of the Mickey. They're both an Amber. Amber. Them in a combo together, I think, is going to be insane.
So hear me out. You shift in Stitch Rockstar on turn 4, and you have a couple 1 costs that you can play that you can draw cards off of, and so he gets you out there.
Lilo is such a new dog.
He sings 0 to hero, and then you've got 3 or 4 cards on the board to play in Mickey on turn 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you could build a lot of synergies around the card draw of Stitch with the low cost cards, the need to have low cost cards on the board for 0 to hero to be really valuable. Mickey coming in early and getting more value out of playing somebody else cheaper for you the turn after that. And so like turn 5, 6, 7, you could get a ton of value on the board based off of those 2 cards.
This card and the Mickey basically tell me that they're changing Amber, like from just being the heel color, they're changing it up a little bit to be more supportive,
to get stuff out fast. I mean, they have 1 jump ahead currently to again get a 5 cost card on the 3rd turn.
So I mean,
yeah, and this adds to that.
It adds to that. It's exciting. I think it is probably B though.
Yeah, that's right where I was at. I'm even gonna go.
I would put it above Dinner
Okay,
Bell.
we'll go above.
That's
Dinner
fine.
Bell.
Right there's good.
All right, so moving on from Amber, we get into the Amethyst cards, and the first one we have is Elsa Gloves Off, 4 cost inkable card with 3 strength, 4 willpower, but her ability is Challenger +3.
This card you don't have to think much about. To me, it's an A. That's where I sit on it. I think a BA is fine. Wherever you feel it needs to be.
I think that's solid too. I think the surroundings. I think on her own, she's an incredible challenger. I think her one, if you're using her solely as somebody to challenge your opponent, you would need Rush in there. But given the fact that you have Elsa Spirit of Winter in there as well to give that versatility of I might shift onto her, I might not.
Yep.
I'm going to challenge a bunch with it. I'm going to do a ton of damage. I could potentially shift on and freeze and then quest right away. Like, I think the ability or the flexibility of this makes it very, very strong.
And with the other Elsas having the overall mechanic of exerting a card to make it challengeable, that works with this card so well. So
yeah, that's true. So maybe you don't shift it. You play Spirit of Winter. You exert the other cards. You challenge with this one and get some extremely powerful cards off the board because she does 6 when she's challenging.
4 cost inkable. I mean,
6 takes out pretty much everything.
For the most part, and I think it's why we put it at A.
Yeah, I would agree. Solid challenger. And then if it being an Amethyst, if you have Pocket Watch, which gives a character Rush, maybe you do rush her in with Pocket Watch. So yeah, I think it's solid, and all the playability around it's really high. Okay, Merlin Shapeshifter, a 4 cost inkable, 1 strength, 5 willpower card that has the ability of whenever one of your other characters is returned to your hand from play, this character gets +1 lore this turn.
So there's a way that you can... I like this because there's a way that you can work this into your favor, and this makes it make more sense when you want to return cards to your hand instead of your opponent doing to you.
Yeah, I think the most obvious answer would be like Cruella.
Mother Knows Best, something like to that extent.
Yeah.
Genie. There's
Yeah, so there's a lot of Emerald ones where I think this could be good, and so if you're stalled out and you need to, maybe you return a couple cards to your hand and you quest for 3 or 4, or probably not 4, that's probably a little high, but maybe you quest for 2 or 3 and you're stalled out and you can't get there, and so this gets you there. I don't know. I don't think it's like broken by any means. I think it's decent. I'm thinking like low C. I think it's okay. I don't think it's great.
C's fine. I will say the one thing is it has 5 willpower, so it's staying alive for a little bit. So you're getting used out of it.
You're getting 2 quests. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe it's low. Maybe it's high C.
High C. I was thinking more.
Okay,
high C.
We'll go high C then. Okay, well, where does that put your Winnie the Pooh, your vanilla Winnie?
Oh my gosh, man! I love this art so much, but it is D tier.
I'm just gonna throw him there and call it good.
Unfortunately, that is where it is. It is better than the Raya card, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
But unfortunately, the art was not translated to the card.
So Honey Wizard, Winnie the Pooh, 5 cost inkable, 5 strength, 5 willpower, quests for 2. I think the questing for 2 alone makes him better than Raya, but not quite anywhere else. He's just kind of,
Is what it is.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but gotta move on from that.
Okay, so Sorcerer's Spellbook. I think this is I don't think this is busted. I think it's very annoying. I would say I'm still kind of hedging to this lower side, like low C.
So whenever it's a 3 cost item, whenever you exert it, you exert 1 ink, and you gain 1 lore. So just straight up, you gain 1 lore, and also, you know, items are very hard to get rid of as of right now. So, I was thinking more. Like,
you higher than this?
I'm B, I think.
I'll put it at the end of B. I think it's okay. I think you're right. I think there's very little item removal. And you're right. I just think of how important like turns 4, 5, and 6 are, and if you're spending 1 lore or 1 ink each of those turns, the trade-off that you're getting from that is really high. I think later in the game, like if you're doing a super heavy control deck where you're playing, 10, 15 turns in, I think at that point, then yeah, it's like incredibly valuable. But I think if you're playing against an aggro deck or a mid-range deck where, they're trying to end the game relatively fast, you don't necessarily get to the place where the utility of this comes super useful.
I do understand that. I think it is still good enough to put in low B though. Like I think it has enough potential in like that late game, especially if you have multiple on the board.
Yeah, that's fair. Again, it's not inkable though. If it was,
we can put high C.
No, it's
high
fine.
C's fine.
It's totally fine. I'm just saying. I think if it was inkable, it might even be like high B, low A. But you can't have, again, like we talked about, you can't have so many uninkable cards in there. Are you going to really devote 4 slots to you being able to find one of these and use it? And so, anyways, yeah, I think that one's okay. I don't think it's incredibly busted. I love the concept. I love the card. I just don't think that it's going to work itself into a ton of decks. But we'll find out, I guess, right?
We'll find out, yeah.
Okay, 2 left. We move on to Gaston, Intellectual Powerhouse, non-inkable, 6 cost with 4 strength, 4 willpower. He is Floodborn, so he does shift for 4. And his ability is, when you play this character, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may put 1 into your hand, put the rest at the bottom of the deck. So it is an ability, like there are a couple out there right now, like Ursula's Cauldron, or like the Tiny Tink from Steel, where you get to exert and you get to draw a card and decide which one to discard. So it helps you find what you're looking for a lot faster. And so not only does he quest for 3, but he gives you the ability to get to the cards that you need as well.
I think this is definitely good for late game when you need that 1 card to win the game, when you're searching for it in your deck.
Also puts pressure on the board.
Pressure on the board. I just think, it also has 3 lore, so that adds to it.
What are you thinking?
Low B,
okay.
I think.
I was going mid B.
Mid B's fine.
I'm gonna put it above the items.
That's fine. Yeah.
I think if this was inkable, I would put this pretty high A. I think the you have to just really consider your choice of a card very strongly when it's uninkable. It has to be very, very, very good and have a very good reason to be in your deck, or otherwise the utility value of it just comes so far down.
And I don't know if this is good enough to do that. Again, we are probably ranking these too early because we don't know the other cards in the chapter.
That's what this is all about.
So
getting it out there and doing it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, these cards might make a lot more sense down the line. But we've got to our finale.
Okay, I'm glad we talked about this one last, or we have this one last. I've been playing, like I mentioned on the league match this week, I've been playing a bunch of Emerald lately, and so my thoughts on this have shifted a bunch. I know you want to go S tier. I don't necessarily want to go there, and hear me out. And here's why. And it's because all of the context of the deck that you would build around it and the sacrifice that you would have to make to play this card versus the actual card itself.
And this is the Bell Hidden Archer.
Yes, so Bell Hidden Archer, 5 cost, uninkable.
I understand.
3 cost, 3 strength, 3 willpower. Does quest for 3, so again, a strong powerhouse of a card. But hear me out. I already said I built a deck. I drew 5 uninkable cards. If I take out like Cheshire Cat, that's a very annoying current 3 cost card. Bell is also shifting. Sorry, so Bell is a Floodborn, so she does shift for 3. So you could play her on shift her on turn 3 and quest for 3. But then you're giving up Cheshire and his really annoying ability of banishing his challenger. But he's inkable, and so you have that. On turn 4, you have Hans, who's also questing for 3. So I think he beats Hans, or she beats Hans, aside from the fact that she's not inkable. On turn 5, you have Cusco, who has Ward, which I think is a bigger threat because he can't be directly targeted by Dragonfire. He can't be directly targeted by your smashes. And so it's not that I don't think this card isn't great. It's I don't know what you would replace in a really strong Emerald deck to make this fit into the overall strategy.
I mean, the ability is whenever this character is challenged, the challenging character's player discards all cards in their hand. To me, overall, you got 3 lore. You got that ability. You got a shift 3. Makes it the best uninkable card in the game.
I would say Elsa Spirit of Winter is better.
I mean, that's absolutely fair. I mean, it's a conversation to be had within itself, but that's why, I mean, you know me, I put it at the best card out of these.
I can't
13.
go S tier with it uninkable. I can't go S tier with it being able to be smashed first turn. I think there's too many counters. I think it's just too vulnerable. I love. Don't get me wrong. I love this card. Again, what are and again, I have a different opinion of this because I do play an Emerald deck, and I have been the last week and a half. I've been really strong into the Emerald decks, and so can't think of a turn that I would make like turn 1. Maybe you're playing just Duke of Wesselton or something really straightforward just to get a card on the board. Turn 2, you're playing Flynn Rider. Turn 3, you're playing Cheshire Cat. Turn 4, you're playing Hans. Turn 5, you're playing Cusco. At what of those turns that you're playing does this add a significant more value that it's okay not to be inkable? And add another one because you have to have Mother Knows Best. You have to have Cusco. So there's already and then in the deck that I was playing is you have the big 6-cost Genie on the Job that's not inkable either. And so I don't know where you fit her in.
But it has the potential to get rid of your opponent's
But nobody will ever challenge her. Nobody will challenge her because everybody's going to be smart enough not to do it. And so, I mean, you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is. And so, I mean, I'm not saying she's not good. I just don't think she's utterly broken like Cinderella. I think that Cinderella doesn't have a direct counter or weakness. Belle has a direct counter or weakness called Smash.
That's true. I mean, I totally agree with you.
We'll go like this to make you feel better.
Thank you. High A.
We'll go high A. So that covers it. We'll give so for our audio listeners out there that aren't on YouTube that getting the video with this, the quick recap of the rankings on this, it goes as follows. We have Cinderella as the only S tier card, so she's the giant, basically new 7-cost inkable giant Tinkerbell. Shift 5 versus this 2. I think again, like I just said, there's just no weakness. There's no direct counter to her. Then on A tier, you have Belle Hidden Archer that we just finished talking about. You have the Queen, which is a challenge / questing powerhouse. Very versatile there. You have Elsa and Amethyst, the 4-cost gloves off. That's a challenging, just a straightforward raw challenge powerhouse and a lot of flexibility with the Elsa Spirit of Winter in there. Mickey, the Amber Mickey, he's a really, really strong quester as well, questing for 3 lore and being able to get the card played that turn for 3 less ink. Big time there. Zero to Hero, the song, also allows you to get characters out faster with the ink reduction based on the cards on the board. Another strong one at B tier. Gaston, Intellectual Powerhouse, the 2 items to round out the B tier. So a lot in B. I like that we have a pretty pretty good curve of everything, not everything just super broken or everything really bad. Getting to Merlin and Tiana on C tier. I think they're okay. I think again kind of situational and Merlin, especially when he gains 1 lore for a character being returned to your hand. Thinking about like a Facilier deck.
Yeah.
If you have the giant Facilier out
completely
there, that could be really busted. Tiana keeps your opponent from playing actions when your hand is empty. I think that ability itself is really busted, but you don't want to be in very many situations where you don't have cards in your hand.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
you're backed against a wall there most likely, and
Yeah.
so you either use that as like a one-off to keep something from happening, or you just play a really risky game your entire time.
Yeah.
So, and then lastly, we get into the 2 vanilla cards at D tier: Winnie the Pooh, Honey Wizard, and Raya, Queen of or Warrior of Kumandra. They're just vanilla cards. They don't have any abilities. They're just kind of meh. So
The most disappointing cards of the reveals so far, but
probably, are they the best art though? Like Winnie, I think we would both agree is probably the best art, and you might say Zero to Hero is second best.
Elsa's really nice.
Elsa's okay. I like Elsa okay. I think Raya might, just the color, like the sunset in the background on Raya is really good.
I mean, to me, Honey Wizard is by far the best.
Agree. I think after that, I could put Raya up there in at least 2 or 3, so they at least gave them some value.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that covers it. You know, any final thoughts on where we end up here? Anything that you think should be moved? I know we kind of said a few of these might need to move, but I think they all kind of ended up where they need to be.
The obvious disagreement of the conversation is the bell. I think that's the obvious thing. I mean, having it in high A is fine. I mean, that's everything else I basically 100% agree with. So, no, I feel completely okay with this. I really was hoping for a big Floodborn, Winnie the Pooh, Honey Wizard, but
there might be.
There might be.
We don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, I think that covers it all then. If you do disagree with us, please, again, let us know on Twitter at LorcanaPod, or send us a email at lorcanapod@gmail.com. We'd love to have the conversation with you all and understand where your thoughts are and what you think is the best card. So, yeah, is Cinderella your best card? Do you think Winnie the Pooh is not D tier? Like, give us some feedback.
Please take him out of D tier if we can.
Yeah, we would love to. But yeah, I think that covers it for this one, and we'll see you all next time.
All right, bye guys.
Thanks. See you.